struggling with recruiting, here's a couple tips that I've learned. And I've said this before in a couple of my streams, but this is things that I have learned from other people as well as picked up on my own. But this is just simply what I have learned and what I know. And if you know something better, please by all means comment on the video. One of the guys that I got recommended was Max Play CFB. He basically came up with a point system for what we're going to talk about in a little bit here. The exact video I'm talking about is down in the comments. Go ahead and look at that. So the first thing I will tell you in recruiting is take it to coaching abilities, right? So motivator right here, this is what I was talking about. You get bonus XPs, and this applies for running back every single position. You get bonus XP for said position when that said position is drafted in the top 3 rounds. Obviously, if you have a cupcake team or if you have a terrible team, you're not going to get drafted in the top 3 rounds, right? So this motivator doesn't really help you when you're rebuilding a team. And that's kind of what we'll stick on. The only way I see this applicable is when you're a good team. You're taking a good team and you're just winning championships, right? The next one is tactician. Tactician is made so that you can boost the ratings of your current players, right? If you are playing, for example, I play with the Tar Heels, mid-tier team, you know, they can be good, not always good, but I can make them better simply by my coaching abilities. And I can use these coaching abilities, a boost to throw on the run, change of direction. I can, you know, better pass blocking for my running back. One of the most important ones here is boost to pass block and impact blocking for your offensive lineman. This helps tremendously if you're trying to win now. I was not when I used my cupcake. I was looking for the future. If you want to recruit immediately because you know your team is trash and you need to get some recruiting done, right? You need to go to coaching abilities and use recruiting. That's what I started off with. But that doesn't mean, don't make the same mistake as I did. Really what you need initially is all the first ones. Less time to fully scout because you want to know specifically who's good and who's not, because what you don't want as a smaller school is a 3-star that's really a 2-star or a 3-star that has no dev trait, which you'll take who you can get in the beginning. But really, this game, you can recruit 3 stars as a small school, 3 and maybe even 4 stars. So you want to use some of these to fully scout them with less time. That way you can get an understanding of what players are you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Once I got to the 2nd, 3rd year, I started to move towards tactician to start to build my players. I know that's not dealing with recruiting, but I'm just telling you the strategy that I had, right? And the last point I'll make on coaching abilities is strategist. I don't know how effective it is. I hear back and forth whether it's effective or not, but the mind reader tier 4 for each position is being increased. The likelihood of you being able to see their dev trait on visits. The dev trait is one of the most crucial pieces of your player in the game. I would say it's the most important thing when recruiting. So there are 4 development traits. Okay. You got your elite, you got your star, impact, and then normal in that order. Elite develops at the fastest rate. Going down to star develops faster than the impact, and impact faster than normal. Having an elite trait is one of the most crucial things you can find in your player, because that means that they're going to develop very fast. Okay, this guy's a sophomore. I got him when he was a 78. He's an 89 overall now. So that's where that knowing that dev trait is nice. Okay, now let's move on to recruiting. The first thing, some tips that some of the people taught me that I'll show you, right? What I was doing originally, going to the prospect list, right? And what'll happen is they'll give you the recommended, and it'll be a bunch of green dots on the left here, right? You hit your target and you hit square and you sort them. And then I would sit here and I'd be like, okay, well, I want to know who's interested and who's the highest ranked. Kind of annoying. It's just going to restack every time. It doesn't take into consideration what you have already stacked. So with that point, what you want to do, and things I learned, is use your searching or your sorting, right? And you say, hey, I want, you know, all the players that are all the 4 or 5 stars that are interested in me, right? Boom, you search them, and then you can restack, because you know that these are all players that are in your top school, and you know they're 5-star. Well, 5-star doesn't matter, but you know you can rack it because it's got a base level of interest level. It's never going to deviate from that. So use the search button. Search is a crucial aspect if you're looking for a position. I know normally everybody's like, I don't ever use this. I can just sort through and I'll find my players. I'm telling you right now, you got to find these players. And when you're starting, you want to find the 5 stars immediate. 5 stars or 4 stars, even if they're not interested in you, if they're in your pipeline, if they're in your state or around your state, because you're looking at proximity to home, all those things to give you an advantage. Okay, so the first thing I do when I'm recruiting is I look for those that are interested in me. You don't need to worry about scouting them initially. Send a scholarship offer and see if you can get any instant recruits. The purpose of the instant recruits it's critical in the beginning because you don't have to spend any more hours on that specific recruit. That's the first thing I do. I go in there and I get some instant recruits. I get 1 or 2 at least. And I'm sure when I get better, I'll get more. Okay, here's where we start to get into the interest levels. Some of the things that I learned, all right, that were really effective. You don't have to know all of the interest levels in order to hard commit. You can, I don't think guess is the right word. You can deduce, or, you know, through process of elimination, what their interest levels are before even getting to the point where you see right here, where I know every single one of their interest levels, right? There's two ways to do this, right? You could actually only have 1 interest level and still figure out what their top 3 is. You have to at least have 1, right? So we'll go with the easier one first. Okay, if they have 2 interest levels, so let's say Boyet here, we go in here, we go to hard sell, and you see that he has proximity to home and championship contender. In these pitch strategies, for the most part, they're the same every single time, and they go a certain way. And I'm going to show you. So I'm going to look for the one that has championship contender and proximity to home. You just need to go and find the 2 that match championship contender and proximity to home. Boom, found one. Aspirational. Proximity to home is highlighted. Championship contender is highlighted. Okay. And athletic facilities is highlighted. That means unless there's another one that has these 2 and another one, which I'm gonna look for in a second here, that means that is his interest level. It's just hidden. That's the only one it can be. Okay, so let's go keep going. Let's keep that in mind. Aspirational. All these don't. Okay, here we found another one. So we found another one. Here we go. So championship contender, so conference spotlight has championship contender, proximity to home, and conference prestige. In this case, in my case, luckily for me, he does not like conference prestige. So process of elimination, it has to be aspirational. There's only 2. There's only ever 2 that will match. So we know based on that athletic facilities is his other interest level. So I'm going to hard sell him on it. All right. And then I'll go over the point system. You can skip forward if you want to learn. There'll be chapters, so just skip forward and you'll see, you know, the point system for their interest level in your grades. So we talked about how to figure out, with 2 interest levels known, what happens when we only know 1 interest level. The other thing you have to have when you know only 1 interest level, you have to know what their deal breaker is, right? So we got Eric Free here, right? We only know 1, according to this, we only have 1 interest level from him. We know that he likes pro potential, okay? We also know, based off his deal breaker, that he likes championship contender. It's not on here highlighted yet. That is going to be an interest level. So you now have 2. So now when you know 2, you can get the 3rd, and we'll go find it. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for a pro potential and championship contender. So we're going to go in here and we're going to hard sell, right? And we're looking for championship contender and pro potential. Okay, pro potential, championship contender, and the 3rd one for Eric Free should be conference prestige. Ignore this is not the same player, but it should be conference prestige. We're going to confirm that there's not a 3rd one that has championship contender and pro potential in there. So it's the only one. Sunday Bound is the only one that it could possibly be for that. So once you identify even 1, you immediately hard sell. The quicker you can hard sell, the quicker you're going to get the recruit. You want to get the recruit as quick as possible so you can stop wasting time with them and move on to the next one. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. If it is confusing, please just ask in the comments. I will answer any question that comes through there, please. Now, last thing we'll talk about is the point system. This is what I was talking about earlier. How do we know you know, when we're going to recruit somebody? What if I hard sell somebody that has an F or a D minus as one of their interest levels? Is it worth it? Is it going to make it go down because he's an F but a B and a B in the others? The answer is no. You cannot be in the negative for Fs. So think of it as a point system. And again, shout out to Max Plays CFB. His link to his videos in my comments. Go ahead and you can look at that on how he breaks it down. Now I'll just give you a rundown on how I do it. Okay. So when we look at the grades, just looking at the grades exclusively, right? The grades, you can put them on a point system. F being 1 and A plus is 13, right? Knowing that, and hopefully we'll put something above the screen that way so you can see it exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, knowing those numbers, what Max Plays CFB figured out in his graph, please go look at that. It's a great video. What he figured out is that getting 19 points is the magic number, right? He did a study, two colleges. He recruited the same player over and over again, and statistically speaking, 19 points is the minimum number you need to get in order to hard sell. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean for how I'm hard selling, right? What that means, one, is that even if you have an F, it's fine. If you have a B being a 9, if you have two Bs, 18 points. You only need, if you got an F on the other one, you got 19 points, right? Because you get 1 point for having an F, and that's the minimum. Obviously, you can go higher than that, and the higher you go, the better. But 19 is the magic number that you need to have to hard sell a player, and for it to matter, for it to actually bump up, and for it to matter more than sending the house. Okay. So we'll take that into consideration. As I said, even if you have an F, we'll look at this guy and go look at aspirational, right? He's proximity to home. Okay. Now I got to remember the numbers. I think it's 13 is each 13. So this is 12. For an A, I have 12 points for proximity to home. Championship contender, I have another 12 points. That's 24 plus a D minus. That's 2. 26 points. We absolutely hard sell that, right? Anytime we get above 19, that's a hard sell. We'll go to any player, right? So long as even if you have a B, and an F, hard sell. That's 19 points. Basically what this is saying is the good interest levels are going to outweigh some of the other things. And that recruit is saying, okay, I like this school, but I don't like that, you know, his program tradition is low, but I love that he's winning now, right? I love there's a little bit of pro potential. I think I can survive in this school. So that, right, in a nutshell, is the Max CFB Plays point system and how I implement it now. And I'm testing it now, and it seems to be working. If you learned anything, and if you have any questions, ask it in the comments. It helps out a lot. But also, I am very interactive. I can answer any questions you have about the college football playoffs, the recruiting, and how I recruit. I think it's the best method, and it has been successfully working for me. I've taken my school from cupcake all the way to championship contender in 3 years, really, because I was already there last year. And this is without bugs. This is without cheesing the system. This is just simply working within the limits of the system that it's giving you. Okay, that's it for this one. Appreciate everybody watching. If you're still here, this is Roughneck 6 signing off the net. Thanks. Peace.